part, it's like, you guys could teach me that. That's
yeah, well, I think your construction part's really is excellent. And but one of the things that I've been surveying the guild, and I've gotten some responses back about what people really want from these presentations. And one of the main things that popped up is they were curious about design. And so I thought we would begin this presentation by talking about some of your design ideas and your inspiration. And you had told me that you were influenced by Chashitsu architecture, and which is the architecture of the tea house. And
yeah.
Yeah, and this actually is the tea house here in Portland at the Japanese Garden. But elaborate on that a little bit for us. What is it about the tea house that or Chashitsu architecture that appeals to you?
It is the reverence for wood and nature, and then also kind of a Japanese aesthetic. And if you go back to the previous slide, the wood that's in that center post, I don't know, can you see my pointer now?
Oh,
Joe,
wait a minute. Here, I'll
thing?
I'll give you remote control here.
Yeah, we figured this out, how to like trade
Yes,
it. Did it work?
Yeah, so just let me pull you up.
Okay.
There you are. Okay.
So
yeah.
we're doing fancy stuff here now. Okay, so this is made from a tree that just has been, you know, the bark's been skinned, whereas these other beams are, you know, have been milled. And for me, what this shows is just an appreciation for the natural growth of the tree. So in my artwork, often I'll take pieces of wood that haven't been milled, sticks and things, and incorporate that into the work, or, you know, just appreciate the raw edge of the wood. So the Japanese aesthetic, I don't know if you, Joe said he switched up what we were doing, the slide presentation slightly, so I'm not sure if it's in there, but wabi sabi is the Japanese aesthetic that has been.
We're still going to do that one. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Inspirational.
Yeah.
And wabi is like an appreciation for age and patina. So I use a lot of old wood, found wood, things from barns or wood in decay. And then sabi is appreciation for things that are new and fresh. But within this is also just an appreciation for nature, a real reverence and appreciation for nature.
I think that's going to be this slide right here, right?
Yeah. So you know, the tea bowl, the taking the cracks and filling them with gold, and sort of celebrating that. Okay, so it broke. There was decay. There was, you know, corruption, but then it's put back together to sort of draw attention to that and celebrate that. And same thing with the stone, the crack in the stone and the irregularity of the circle and so forth. So it won't, my work isn't like, unless I set it, I don't, in many of my influences, it's not obvious, but when I talk about it, you'll see them.
Sure. I noticed that when I actually put these pictures up, they're out of focus, but I thought that was perfect. It fits with wabi sabi, you know, that there's a little bit of imperfection.
Right.
I wanted to talk about you on your website. You have 3 different series, and I thought we would kind of look at some of these just to get, so people get an idea about your work and what you're doing. And this one's the Inverse series, and I find these fascinating. I'm going to show the next picture, and then I'm going to come back to this one, I think. Actually, I'll probably just stick with this one. I really like these now. So what are you up to here? What's going on with this Inverse series?
Okay, so in this piece of wood, it's just a zigzag with different woods. Like this this is off of a bed. So it's been beat up because it's been used. I think it's oak. And this is maple, so it's new. And this has got the mill marks on it. It's barnwood. But anyway, it's zigzagging back and forth. But when you look at this object, depending on what side you're looking at it from, the dimensionality seems to change. Like it'll appear to flatten or not. And it's because of how the edges are cut.
And I think our next picture is going to show this from the side. Let's see. Yes.
So it becomes harder to tell what is going on visually. And this is something that the Japanese do in their tea gardens. They might have something like an archway with stone steps leading up to it that appear to mirror each other on either side of the archway, so that as you're coming up to it, if for a moment you might be kind of taken aback, like, is this a mirror or is there a reflection or just something like that? And I'll use that in my artwork, that kind of pause. And in the tea house and tea ceremony, it's designed to help the participant and the tea ceremony come into the present moment. And so often that's my intent as well.
Sure.
Not really.
So,
I don't know.
Yeah, when I look at this face on, it looks almost flat, but when I see it on the wall, well, certainly this edge down here is coming off the wall. This looks as though this is flat on the wall, this one side here.
Yeah, and it changes even more so from the other side. Yeah.
Gotcha. Right.
Yeah.
This is a kind of a change from the kind of rectangular triangles and rectangles of the other pieces. These are much more fluid, more just kind of actually kind of sensual, figural. In these, you had included there's a stick in these, as well as then this weathered wood, although this is so talk a little bit about this. What makes you how do you choose the stick? Is this too also related to the tree, to the tea house, or?
Yeah, these ones are really directly related because it's using the same technique of, having a natural stick in some kind of architectural, like milled ground. But, when I'm looking at it and actually constructing it, the way that I cut the outside shapes are in response to the stick. So the stick is where it all starts, and then everything else is built off of that stick.
The black wings of those kind of remind me of like a propeller, and I find that piece fascinating. Is this edge, is this burnt wood, or are these?
No, that's just the raw edge. I was lucky and found a board that was in decay. It was actually split and had the bark growing in through the middle. And you know how you go to the cheap bin and all of a sudden somebody's throwing that out? Are you kidding me? So that was a real exciting find to get that piece, because I could see what it could be. It's cut and joined to other pieces of wood, but
right. Gotcha. And then we're going to come back to this series, this pitch series, because we're going to actually show how some of these pieces are constructed. But I also love these once again, kind of when I look at these, face on or dead on, they look kind of flat, but they're obviously not. In fact, we can kind of see in this piece how they stand away from the wall. And when you're designing something like this, this is kind of an optical illusion, if you will, because of the way it looks when I'm looking dead on and when I'm looking at it from the side.
Yeah, that will be, of course, because it's a photograph, it's going to be more, it flattens it more. But yeah, there is some, illusionism in that I painted on the previous one, I painted that stripe, and in these, the the edge is drawn into the interior of this
Oh,
piece.
here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Okay.
on the other side. But this is from what I'm working on now, and my latest, really, I'm so excited about this OSB, oriented strand board, that chip stuff that
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's so fun to work on. And like when I use the terminology, the wabi sabi, I know that this is kind of outside of that aesthetic, but I don't care. The way that I use aesthetic concepts is to help me to explain what I'm after, not to direct what I'm doing.
Right.
So, the fascination with how the paint takes this texture, and what I think I want to do, I don't know, but anyway, what I think I'm going to try and pursue is how paint as a material can respond with color and texture to the wood itself. And in this case, the compressed wood has all that really exciting chips going in different directions. So that's what I'm.
And I never think of this wood as being used for anything more than like sheeting or underlayment or anything like that. And to see it used as a art form, it's this is it's pretty inspiring. So
I love it.
yeah, let's talk about kind of, well, this is kind of like a woodworker porn here. Looking at the wood shop here, but I think this is something that people will, would really appreciate. Kind of, this is your environment of where you're working. Really nice shop here. You've got a lot of a lot of the tools and stuff. I love the clutter here. It just that's, I know that you're really actually getting something done when you've got a lot of clutter. I've got another picture of this jig here too. I think it's in one of these. Well, anyway, and one of the things that I also got out of my survey is that people were looking for kind of how you put things together, and your stuff is complicated in the joinery, and I think it's I think it would be kind of interesting to people to see kind of how it's all done. And actually, this is a new slide. You haven't seen this before. You'll be glad to know. So, but I kind of looked through the way you in another piece or another work. I think it might have been off your website about kind of your process. And so I thought we would kind of walk through somewhat how this piece or similar pieces are done. And we'll start out with finding the wood. And this, I love this. I love these pictures of the wood. I mean, this is definitely a piece of wood that somebody's thrown away. They got a bunch of nails in it. So I get it that you're going to the woodworking stores, but you look like you're also kind of cruising the alleys here. And
oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you see pieces like this, you probably don't, or do you have a piece of in mind, a work in mind, or do you just say, I think that'll be cool and I'll deal with it later? Yeah.
I have my antennas up, like my friends all know that I'm on the lookout and will call me if they know of, somebody's tearing down their shed or a barn or whatever. And, especially if, the barn burned, great, even better. Let's see what I can find. So I'm looking for wood that I think that is going to do that wabi thing, age, beauty and age and patina, like raw, rough, decay,
Right.
on the edge of life.
Well, and I think that's one of the really interesting parts about your work is that you're really kind of touching into the soul of the wood, if you will, and its history, its life is all kind of shown on its surface, all on its face, if you will.
I try.
Yeah.
the other thing is whenever I go on vacation with my sister-in-law,
Yeah.
we like to walk together, and we've been, she lives out in Palm Springs in the desert where they have those cholla cactus, and you see in the bottom that pink
Oh,
thing,
right. Yeah.
that's the hull of a cholla cactus. So, I'll see something and get all excited, and she'll go, we have to take a box back, so she's encouraging me to, pick up sticks on our walks.
Gotcha. Okay. So my list here was, finding the wood and then cutting it. It's interesting to see how you're doing this because, and so this is one of your jigs, how you're cutting these angles. I mean, and so much of your work involves doing this angle cutting and slicing so that these pieces all fit together. You're obviously not running any of these through a planer because that would ruin this patina. So
Right.
I think, so having good jigs that can hold things down are, and you looks like you just make this, you made this one yourself, I assume.
Right. Yeah.
Sweet. This was I kind of moved these around, and we were talking about this OSB, and I love this, the way you've worked the colors into this, and it takes what's just kind of the randomness of the surface, and kind of really highlighted it and given it, and I know your background's in painting too, and so this really brings out a lot of the texture and design in the wood. I think it's really it's really gorgeous. So.
Oh, thank you.
Then one of the things that I was wondering about, and we talked about this, and it looks like you're using Biscuit Joinery. So why Biscuit Joinery? I mean, what brought you here?
Well, because you don't have to sit on it or anything. I really am trying to and I want the edge to be clean. I'm trying to find the simplest method to put things together. So, the biscuits work for holding these forms, and plus I can recut them and move them around and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I think I mean, it makes sense because especially with this OSB, this is not a good edge, or it wouldn't be a good glue edge,
Well, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
It's been difficult actually to do these fancy things with the OSB, but oh well.
Then these are templates that you use to cut the shapes with, right?
Yeah.
And in the previous slide, then this thing here this is used to.
I hold up the angles when I'm getting ready to glue, to clamp and glue them. So I hold it, and I'll also hold it up if I'm just looking at it and trying to figure out if my idea is going to work.
Sure.
And you can see that, like, I have stacks and stacks of these are the edge pieces.
Right.
Those are all things that I still have. I haven't used those because they just didn't work. So that maybe is different than many people. I don't know if you make the side of a cabinet more than once, but I do.
Never happened to me. I've never had to remake anything, and then the glue up. I mean, this is not straightforward, miter joints, or everything here is at a weird angle, and
right.
What are these? What's the tape represent here? What's the?
Sometimes I cut the biscuits from the top and sometimes from the bottom. It depends on what's going on. And if it's from the top, I use the tape to mark where I'm going to cut the biscuits.
Oh, okay, I got you. Because you're not using the tape as a way to hold the piece together. Instead, you're using these straps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, these must be some pretty complex glue ups, I'd imagine.
They take time. They do. Yeah.
And this is then a piece that we're looking at from the bottom, which I thought was kind of an interesting angle. And the same piece, or I'm not sure it's the same piece, but it's the same idea. I
think it's the same one. Yeah.
Right.
And those little blocks on the corners aren't in yet. That's why they're hanging out. on the
Oh,
other.
these here. Oh, right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I was deciding.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So you're kind of creating as you go. I mean, you have an
Right.
idea, but but
Yeah.
yeah, got it.
Yeah.
And then this then is this is the finished piece. Once again, kind of when you see it dead on like that, it's much different than when you see it from the side where you get the different perspective of it. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
as you know, I actually own some of your work, so that's how
I
fast that.
really,
Yeah.
I like all kinds of woods, and so I hope the luminosity of the curly maple can play right along with all the other, like the cheap pine and the
Sure.
OSP.
Yeah, the OSB. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. And then this one, this is kind of the last piece I wanted to show. When I first saw this, it just literally blew me away. I just kind of looked at this and said, how on earth could she possibly do that? And tell me how you did it.
Okay, so it's a piece of mulberry, which I didn't realize, but it has this memory where
Mhm.
after you cut it, it sort of springs back into however it was before it was sawn into a length of board, which I had never heard of before, but I found out the hard way. So anyway, I made the template. I just started with 6 squares, really. I took the length of it and
Oh, so
divided it into six.
this
Yeah,
is just a square. Got it. Okay.
right. And then beveled each corner the same degree, knowing that if I did the same degree and the same size pieces all the way down, it would work because that's how geometry is. But I didn't count on this wood doing its own little dance of springing around. And
Yeah, yeah.
so I ended up, if you screw up on one, you have to cut all 6 of them because they have to be the same size. So it's like, oh my God, is this thing going to be bigger than like a matchstick?
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah,
it didn't lose that much, but it did lose a bit.
uh-huh. So you start out with, so this, if I think of this, this is a square, this is
Yeah,
another square, and
yeah,
then you cut this bevel, make this
right,
the middle, and then this is like the inverse of that angle, if you will.
exactly.
And then you do the same thing with each one of these.
Right,
You had described this to me earlier, like just taking like a gum wrapper, like the old Juicy Fruit gum wrappers, and just
right.
folding it kind of over and over again. I
That's
mean,
where I get a lot of my ideas is just folding paper.
yeah, right, right. So,
Yeah,
uh,
to
well,
see
which
what
is
I can
of
do.
course another Japanese art and origami.
Oh,
So,
that's true. That's
yeah,
true.
no, but I love this piece, and the fact that it's 68 inches long. This must this I bet wasn't made in a day. Uh,
No, it took some time. Yep.
yes, I bet it did. Well, thank you very much, Melinda. I mean, I, I can actually, as I see your work, it kind of inspires me to do kind of, especially that inverse series that we did right at the very first. Um, I remember, I can think about using that in as I try to. I've been thinking about how I could use it to build like a box that I might be able to make it. Uh, use that kind of like that repeating trapezoid, I guess is what the shape is, kind of all around the box, and I think it would make a real interesting, shape. And so, uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you coming and staying awake till. For you, it's almost 11 o'clock. So, yeah,
no problem. It was fun, Joe.
okay,
And I appreciate being invited. Thank you
Mhm.
all.
Sure. Does anybody have any questions for?
Nothing in the chat right now. So if anybody has any questions, why don't you just unmute yourself? I've muted everybody during the presentation. So if anybody has any questions, unmute yourself and ask away.
Well,
I don't know how
Melinda,
to
I
ask.
just wanted to thank you for bringing an artist look, to woodworking. I started out as an architect, and unfortunately, I started in the 2D drafting world, and so it's really hard to break out of that rectilinear kind of mode. And obviously, when you've come at it from a different direction, you're a lot more free with where you take the wood.
John, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious of what paint you used on your piece with you have the maple and then you have the pine that's painted blue.
Okay.
And did you do it? Did you just paint it, then do something to the surface to make it look the way it is? Or
Are you
did you
talking
do
about
anything
the
special,
blue,
I guess is the question.
the blue part or the OSB?
Blue part.
Okay, I do a lot with that pine. Pine is great because one of the things I really like about wood is the wood grain. For me, it's a metaphor or a representation of growth, period, which is part of why I like the wabi-sabi thing, because it's aging itself, life and death. And so the wood grain is very prominent in cheap pine. So what I do, and I've done this a gazillion times, is paint it with contrasting colors and layers, or even not that contrasting, that can be interesting too. But the blue is painted, I think, underneath with a darker blue, and then sand through it. So the harder part of the wood grain will lift up and you'll get the striping. I don't know if Joe can go back to that piece or.
Sure.
I stopped to share, but it's kind of like the milk paint
okay.
process where you sand through, you put multiple layers on, and then you weather it.
Is that milk paint, did you say? A milk paint
Yeah.
process?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, apparently you can do the same thing with latex. That, like all of this stuff, see this piece right here? Oh, you can't see my pointer, can you?
Oh, wait a second. Let me give you back remote control here.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the first picture. Or, oh, there's the picture he was talking about.
This one?
No,
Which
go
one?
up to this guy. Oh, you can't see me.
Hey, wait a minute. I'll give it to you right
Oh.
now. Now you
Okay.
should have it.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this wood here, oh, actually it was a lighter blue because you can see that it's lighter there. But let me show you, it's more pronounced in the pieces that are up here. Ooh. Before I was all like into the chipboard, I was into pine. So it's hard to see it because it's far away, but this has like 3 colors, orange, fuchsia, and then this dull green. And then when you sand through it, you get all of those colors. So it's layering in this piece back here, it's layering and knowing what's going to happen here. I'll show you on this piece. This is easier to see. Okay, can you see my cursor here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see how the dark brown is coming out underneath this? That's because it was painted dark brown and then this pale, I don't know, tan color over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I sanded this, I repainted this pink and yellow and a bunch of colors, but yeah. So yeah, it's just like apparently milk paint is done, but you don't have to spend the money. You can use latex.
Yeah. Oh, right. That makes
Okay.
sense.
Same thing, but probably not as well. I don't know, you know.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Sure.
Melinda, I have a question about that folded board. How much structure is behind it to keep it all together?
Nothing. It's all biscuits. The only additional structure that I have is and this took as long as building the piece practically, but I built hangers for it because I didn't want it to bend any on the wall or cause any kind of weight of itself, or I don't know. I didn't know enough about wood. So I just thought we'll just make it so that it's not putting any stress on the way that it's hanging, won't stress the piece at all. So it has, I don't even know what it's called, blocks of wood that have holes in them that you you know, you mount on the wall and then you slide the whole thing over.
Yeah, like a French cleat.
Right,
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
So, but I had to devise that with all the angles back there to get that and to make it flush.
No,
So, yeah, it's pretty strong. It's just sitting in my studio.
yeah.
Any other questions? Steve, you want to wrap us up for the evening?
Well, thank you, Melinda. It's really excellent. Love seeing you.
Bye. Thank you
Definitely.
all.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
to meet you.
It was fun to see some creative work.
Good deal.
All right, all, thanks for
Oh, one
participating.
other question. Does Melinda, do you have a website?
There's a link in the newsletter and on the calendar for today. There's a link to her website.
Great.
And
Okay,
I
thank
think
you.
it's just melindarosenberg.com, isn't it?
Yeah, just right here. Just, oh yeah, I don't have your pointer anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just right, my name, melindarosenberg.com.
Right.
Well, you guys, I should move to Oregon. This looks like
Yeah.
a great group.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks
Thank you.
to all 32 or 34 of you that were online with us here, and we'll hopefully see most of you on the 26th. We'll have some fun there.
Yeah, let's not forget about that. The upcoming show and tell and help session a week from tonight. Yeah, a week from tonight, 7 o'clock. So bring your design, bring your finishing, bring any of your questions to the group, and we'll see if we can't answer them.
All right. Good night, all.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.